So hello everyone, welcome to this video that I'm trying to do. I'm experimenting with content a little bit. It's a fucking target right there, I didn't notice that. I'm experimenting today with a different kind of video than normal. Normally I upload just stupid content, you know, stuff that I find funny, clips with my friends and all that stuff. I want to try something different. I want to try to rant about firearms that I like. I like a lot. If you know me, I am the pinnacle of a fucking firearm autistic. Guns just interest me. I don't know why. If anything, they were just my whole intro into any other topic that I know about, like history. People say guns are a shit tool for education. I say completely fucking otherwise, because they taught me a lot. They taught me a lot more than school ever taught me. I'll fucking tell you that. So, if you all notice, the gun that I have right here is a Scar 17, or in this game, Insurgency Sandstorm, the MK17 Mod 0. This right here is my favorite gun of all time, just straight up. And there's a variety of reasons that I like it. Mainly, presence in gaming is one of the main reasons that I really enjoy the Scar. Of course, it's in this, and a lot of you probably remember it from, you know, it's the good gun. It's the gun that you want to find in Fortnite, and that, in my opinion, somewhat tainted its reputation. Because if you, I've been asked a couple times, like, oh, what's your favorite gun? Oh, I really like the Scar. Oh, I bet you like it because Fortnite. No, I actually liked it way before Fortnite came out. The first time I was ever introduced to the Scar H specifically, the Scar Heavy, was Black Ops 2 on Call of Duty. And it was, you know, I really liked it there. It was the first gun, the first assault rifle that I was using, that I noticed, like, I was using this and I was getting fucking 10 kill games when I barely averaged like 3 kill games. So I'm like, okay, shit, I'm gonna fucking continue using this thing. And it just slowly became my favorite fucking firearm. Chambered in the good old 308, or 308 for the uninclined. Or 7.62 by 51 NATO if you are European and haven't been to the fucking moon. This thing is wonderful. It has a little brother known as the Scar L, or the Scar 16, which is chambered in 5.56 or 2.23. And in this game, it's modeled very well, as you can see. So it has a short stroke operation, which means, if you notice, under the front iron sight and above the barrel, there's the whole gas system there. And the way that the gas block or gas system works is that there's a tiny little itty bitty piston inside of the gas block, and that piston, after a bullet is fired, will shoot the slide back, or shoot the bolt mechanism back, compared to an AR-15 or M16 platform rifle, where the gas just shoots pretty much straight into the bolt. I really wish I had a better way of showing you guys this, but Insurgency Sandstorm, this is all I got. This is it. Another fact about this rifle is, a lot of people, there's like a misconception that this is a very heavy rifle. And it's heavier than most, especially the DMR version. The Scar 20 is like almost 10 pounds. But this, the Scar 17, is only 8 pounds compared to the M16, which is also 8 pounds fully loaded. They're pretty similar in weight. It's just the ammunition for this one is also a little bit heavier, being the bigger 308. And you also don't have a lot of it. This thing only mainly has 20 round magazines. It was only 20 rounds that I shot there. Not great, not terrible, compared to the average 30 round magazine size. If I were to have my own SCAR for things, which sadly I do not own one of these because they're expensive. I would really love to have one of these, and I don't think I can have one in California because sadly that's where I live. I live in good old shit-stained California. If anything, probably a compensator, you know, to tame a lot of the recoil. Which, this is not necessarily a compensator, that is a just full-on muzzle brake. Yeah, that is just a full-on muzzle brake. That's not really a compensator, but, you know, they both do similar jobs. I don't know, really what would I use for a foregrip? There's a bunch of different options when it comes to foregrips. I do like these ones, though, that have the laser or the light, depending on whatever kind. I don't know specifically what foregrip they are. I'm not that inclined in attachments. I'm more inclined on the, you know, the actual gun itself. There's a lot of sights that go really well with the SCAR platform. I think, like, out of all of them, this is pretty iconic. Just running a holographic sight with a magnifier on it is pretty cool. Another one would be just a classic ACOG. Very, very cool looking already. Look at this. This thing just screams pure fucking sex appeal. Look at it. Oh my gosh. I missed. I'm bad. I'm garbage. I'm terrible. It's amazing. I love it. Little interesting facts about it. The iron sights on this thing is like, there's, not counting the gas block on the front sight, there's like 20 fucking parts to the iron sights alone. This thing is a pretty complicated weapon, and it's not an AK and it's not an AR. Normally when you look at a lot of these rifles, they're all either an AK or an AR on the inside for the most part. This thing is really its own weapon. It's its own rifle. It has some design philosophy from the AK, from the AR, from a lot of other guns, but all in all, this thing could really classify as its own platform of rifle, whereas a lot of the others, not really. And I will talk about one of those right now. The AUG. This, all in all, even though it is a bullpup weapon, which, if you do not know, a bullpup weapon is the magazine is behind the trigger grouping of the gun. The AUG, all in all, shares its similarity with a AR-18. So essentially, on the inside, this is an AR-18. This is different to the, you know, AR-15 or the AK. The AR-18 in itself is essentially if Eugene Stoner copied the design off of an AK and using the long stroke gas piston system of the AK-47, which what that means is there's a piston attached to the bolt, the gas, from a fired projectile, pushes on that piston, thus cycling around. One complaint I have about this firearm in particular. Now, Insurgency Sandstorm does really great on their firearm modeling and how things should work. Really wonderful. One thing on the military models of the AUG is that this has what is known as a progressive trigger, which means if you slightly press down the trigger, it's just going to do semi-automatic fire. But if you fully press down on the trigger, it's going to do automatic fire. Editor Dave here. I originally lost my original train of thought, and what I was trying to convey here was the model in-game has a select fire button that the guy presses, which is not on the actual model of the AUG. Sorry about that, I don't script these videos. Pretty neat system. The only downside really is that it increases the weight of the trigger a lot, and on most bullpup rifles, the trigger mechanism sucks. Triggers on bullpups notoriously suck because you're trying to link the trigger from you're trying to link the trigger from the front portion of the gun to the back portion of the gun. It's very complicated, and there's just a couple, major downsides to it. The main upside to a bullpup configuration is you have this very compact rifle without sacrificing range. Whereas, let's say, Honey Badger. The Honey Badger is also a very compact rifle, but I think has less barrel length than the AUG. Which I gotta find the AUG again. There it is. As you can see, they're both roughly the same size, but this has a longer barrel, thus giving it a lot more range and a lot more velocity to the projectile, because a longer barrel is better. There is a point where too long of a barrel is a problem, but there's no weapons platform that really does that. There are weapons platforms, though, that do a very short-ended barrel. Another neat little thing about this gun is that the grip that you see there, the little foregrip on the front, is attached to the barrel and the gas block of the gun, and it all comes out in one swift motion. You can take the barrel out of the gun altogether, which I think is neat. It's useful for an armorer or someone who's going to be repairing this gun a lot. It's not so useful on a assault rifle platform like this. You would normally see something like a barrel changing system on a machine gun, on like this 249 right here, which has I think it has a removable barrel. I'm not 100% sure. A lot of machine guns have removable barrels. This also has a removable. I cannot talk anymore. It has a barrel that can come off of the gun. That's what I'm trying to say. Does it really need it? Not really. Because you're not gonna be dumping 1,000 fucking rounds through this fucking gun. Some good upgrades on it. As you've noticed, this is an AUG A3, which has a Picatinny rail on the top that you can, put all these wonderful little scopes. You can also put the A1 scope on top of it, which is awesome. I really love the A1 scope. I really love the look of it because it just adds to the futuristic sci-fi look of the AUG. I mean, look at that. That's a fucking alien gun right there. That's awesome. It adds to the look, and very, very sleek little scope. Very simple to use. And on top of, it's also being a scope. Sometimes scope's too much. Like, let's say there's a guy right there, or let's say we're getting at an engagement like this close. This is our enemy, the observer. I have iron sights that I can use to point shoot They aren't the most accurate iron sights, but iron sights just aren't accurate that much anymore. Normally, you know, you want a scope, you want a sight nowadays. But this is great, you know, point shooting. It's like, oh, there's a fucking guy right there. He's dead now. And then immediately switch back to the scope with just moving my head. Whereas if I were to use a magnifier, I have the zoomed in part of the magnifier, but if I want to adjust it, there's a couple magnifiers nowadays that have a quick release. So literally you just press a button on the side of the gun and it'll just snap back to normal. But that's still not as easy as just moving your head a little bit up or a little bit down. You know? And this you have to fully reset. Now you're back into long range mode, and then let's say, oh hey, there's a guy right there. I'm using my scope. It's a little too close. Oh, there we go. You have to get the main issue is you're getting yourself out of the firing position to engage in a short range target instead of just moving your head up and down a little bit. It's that little bit of quick reaction. Where it's like, oh, using my scope, there's a long range target, there's a guy out there, bang, 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 he dead. Oh no, there's a guy next to me, move my head up, bang, he dead. Now, enough pissing off that guy. So on the foregrips, they added this weird little, like, Picatinny attachment in the game, to add, you know, fucking grenade launchers, a fucking M26 shotgun, or, you know, other foregrips. But I'm not 100% sure if that's actually how you can do it. I don't know if that grip is fully removable, because if I remember correctly, that's like kind of how it locks into the gun, is through the foregrip. That's how the barrel locks into the gun, is through the foregrip. So I'm not fully sure on how that works, but it does. I could also be talking out of my ass. There's probably a lot of stuff here that I'm going to get wrong, and that's okay. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about the AUG other than, out of all the bullpups, it's my favorite. It's not like the FAMAS, if I can find that again. Nope, I know, there you are. It's not like this fucking thing, which is slightly smaller and slightly bigger at the same time. The FAMAS is just a weird little fucking gun. It's French, of course, and I'm already not a big fan of the French, but it's just weird. And the only reason why it's really popular in the United States, the only reason why it's really popular in the United States is it's expensive and really hard to get. The only FAMASs that are in the US right now are the only ones that are ever going to be in the US. We can't import these anymore because, you know, fucking our government sucks and puts import bans on really cool fucking weapons. There was one of these that sold last year for $100,000. Just to put into perspective on how much that FAMAS sold for, one of these, a Barrett M82, sells anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000. This sold for $100,000. It's in a smaller caliber. It's got a ridiculously fast fire rate, and also has a 3-round burst mode, which there's some that are locked in 3-round burst, and has a magazine size that isn't divisible by 3. It has a 25-round magazine. I really don't see the appeal in the FAMAS. I don't know. There's just too many downsides. It's French. You can't run brass. You can't, you know, it's really fucking expensive. Retardedly fucking expensive. The one good thing I can say about this gun is that it is fully ambidextrous. There is not a lot of bullpups that are fully ambidextrous like this thing is. If you look towards the back there, where the rounds are going to be ejecting, one side is pretty, you know, rocky looking. That's the ejection port. And then on this side, there's like a little panel on the stock there. That panel could be transferred to the other side, and the rounds will now eject out of the other side for left-handed shooters. Man, I cannot fucking talk. The select lever and the safety work kind of weird, whereas like they're on two different parts of the gun. The safety is at the front where the trigger is and the grip of the gun is, and then the select fire is at the back, where if you want to go from full auto to 3-round burst, it's like this little knob at the back behind the magazine, which is weird, but it aids in that ambidextrous ability that not a lot of bullpups have. Where if we were to take a look at the AUG again, you can see that if you're a left-handed shooter, you're fucked. You're just gonna be eating brass. You're just not gonna have a good fucking day, because a bunch of hot brass is gonna get shoved into your face, and that's not fun. It's generally the reason why bullpups aren't the greatest platform of rifles. On paper, these things should be the greatest platform of rifles ever, but in reality, not so much. And this will also be the last time I will be talking about bullpups in this video. Why? Because really the only one that I like is this one, is the AUG. Let's get a little historical here. We're going to talk about the M1 Garand. This thing is pure sex. Okay, look at it. Just look at it. It's amazing. Everyone loves a good Garand ping. You cannot lie. Now, there is a major argument on how to actually pronounce Garand or Garand. What is it? The designer of this rifle, John C. Garand, pronounces it as Garand, I think. I say Garand because, one, it's a grand fucking rifle, honestly, and two, it's just kind of what I've always grown up with. That's how I've always heard it as. If I'm talking about John C. Garand himself, I'm going to use his name like that, but if we're talking about the rifle that he made, it's the M1 Garand, alright? That's my personal opinion on just how that's supposed to be pronounced, so I'm gonna say Garand the entire fucking time. So yeah, if you're angry about that, fight me. I don't give a shit. This thing is a wonderful little piece of weapon design. So the M1 Garand is a gas-operated rotating bolt mechanism, somewhat similar to the AK. This actually, a lot of people will say that, oh, the AK-47 was designed off of the STG-44. Yes and no. Actually, Mikhail Kalashnikov, the designer of the AK-47, took a lot of design inspiration from the M1 Garand, which is awesome. Shoots the massive 30-06 rifle cartridge, which is still widely used today, mainly in hunting rifles. It's not much of a combat cartridge as it used to be. We've tried to standardize rifle rounds, so mainly the rounds that you'd be seeing on the front lines now on NATO's side is 9mm, 5.56, and 7.62 by 51. On the Russians, it's just 7.62, 7.62, 7.62, 7.62, 7.62. It's 7.62 fucking everything. 7.62 by 39. The only other time it's deviated is when they use 5.45 by 39, which is still like the AK cartridge 7.62 by 39, just next down to 5.45. I'm gonna get us. There we go. Oh yes, that just sounds so nice. On this, I'm gonna do that real quick again when he reloads it. You notice that he has to push the bolt forward to engage it. That doesn't necessarily happen on the M1 Garand. When you load a clip into the Garand, and yes, it's actually a clip this time, it is not a magazine. When you load the clip into the Garand, the bolt automatically snaps forward, and if your thumb is in the way, it's going to snap on your thumb. Thus, the mythical Garand thumb, which wasn't necessarily that much of an issue when it came to combat. Like, yeah, that could happen. It is a thing that could happen, but historically wasn't that big of an issue. Where was I? I honestly can't remember. Oh yeah. So the way that the military was trained was to keep the bolt held open with your palm while you're still loading the rifle. Once your thumb and everything is clear, you can let your palm go and the front of the rifle will go. The only reason that you would have to do that is if the gun is damaged or the gun is dirty, which would be very rare. Soldiers during World War II, if there's any little bit of downtime when you're not in combat or you're not doing anything, most likely you are cleaning your rifle. A clean rifle is a happy rifle, and a clean rifle, it means a non-dead soldier. So they were keeping these things spotless throughout the fucking war as much as they possibly could. And the Garand is very easy to field strip and to clean and to take apart and operate. So it's just an all-in-all perfect little fucking rifle. If I remember correctly, it was General George S. Patton said that the M1 Garand is the greatest American battle implement ever devised. And I think the funniest part about that is that this thing isn't technically American. It's a Canadian rifle. John C. Garand was a Canadian. So, built by the Canadians, adopted by the Americans, and we said, God damn, do the fucking Canadians know how to make a goddamn rifle? And I always give that little factoid to my Canadian friends. They always like it. There are some attachments that do come with this. I think most notably would be, if I can find it, this, the M1C scope, which is just a little sniper scope on the top of it. Has a little one-post sight. I'm not 100% sure if that's fucking fully accurate, but it is. Weirdly enough, like, yes, these are a little bit less accurate because it's one of those scopes that's mounted off to the side rather than being mounted in the middle, and you know, it's for good reason. You can't load the fucking end block clip if it was in the middle, and the shells would be bouncing into your scope and probably fucking up your zero if you were to do that. So of course it's mounted off to the side, off to the left. You lose a little bit of accuracy, but it's not a lot, I wouldn't think, because there's a lot of other weapons that do this, and I think there's even a couple modern machine guns that have their scopes mounted off to the left. What else can we add onto this? That would definitely not be there. Does have a flash hider, these funny looking little cone flash hiders, or looks like a Loudner on it. Those weren't really standard issue. Oh, you can. Okay, cool. Here's another thing that you could add onto it, which is the grenade launcher. I'm going to take that off. Which, these are fucking cool as hell. So, you take that out, you would load in blank cartridges, which is just a rifle cartridge with a bunch of powder inside of it instead of a projectile. And then you have this little side sight that you could aim with. We're gonna put it, you know what? No, we're gonna put it right there on that guy. And he's now dead.
I need a running dry here.
I'm not 100% sure if that would cycle the round. It probably would, but there's a lot of cases where blanks can't necessarily cycle a round because you need a projectile there to cycle the gas system. So from what it looks like, it's doing that. That went really high. From, you know, from what it shows in the game, which isn't, you know, set in stone 100% accuracy, it does cycle the round. Take that out, put in our, back to our live ammunition, and then we can go back to smoking dudes. And, I mean, can we really talk about the M1 Garand without talking about the 1911? These things go hand in hand, side by side, like fucking peas and carrots, like steak and potatoes, like fucking communist people and starving, you know? They're just made for each other. The 1911, designed by the almighty John Moses Browning. If you do not know anything about John Moses Browning, educate yourself. He is the greatest firearms designer in the fucking world. And this is one of his pieces. So, in the early 1900s, I can't remember specifically when, just before 1911, obviously, the US just got done fighting in the Philippines and realized, man, our .38 special little piece of shit revolvers aren't doing a lot. We need something with a little more oomph, a little more kick, with a little more firepower to them. And I want to say 1909 or 1910, they ran tests on pistol calibers and different types of fire and different types of pistols to see which one can put down a cow the quickest. Because obviously if it can take down a cow, it can take down a person. Just simple logic. And the only one that was able to take down the cow in one shot was the .45 ACP. So the US government gave out a patent to design a pistol for the .45 ACP. They gave it out to John Moses Browning, who cranked out this little fucking piece of work. And this thing has stood the test of time. Obviously, 1911 was over 100 years ago. This thing's like, doing the math, it's about 114, 115 years old. This thing is an old fucking gun. And just about every single pistol nowadays uses the design philosophy off of the 1911. This thing is the gold standard when it comes to when it comes to handguns, and that's one of the main reasons why it's so beloved. One of the main downsides to it, and like really the only main downside to it, is the magazine. It is an 8-round single stack magazine. And there's a couple people, that would argue if you need more than 8 rounds in your magazine, you should either bring more friends or hit your shots. And it's like, you ever fired a handgun before? Like, they're not the easiest thing to accurately shoot with, at least in my experience. They're fun as hell, but they're not the most accurate thing. Once you get past like 20 yards, that's when you really start losing accuracy with a handgun. And I mean, obviously, they're not made to be fucking snipers. They're not made to, long range fucking, can you hit a coin out of a baby's mouth from 150 yards away? No. They're made for short engagements, for an engagement like this, like from here to that guy. I'll get a couple mags here. They're made for an engagement like this, where let's say, I'm out of ammo on my Garand. Oh shit, there's a German right there. He's dead now. That's the kind of engagement that a pistol is mainly made for. And there's also, the big boomer lore. Oh, this won 2 world wars, and it's like, I love that kind of, mentality. Like, hell yeah, this thing fought in both World War I, World War II, and like pretty much every single conflict after that. But, it wasn't, whenever you hear someone say that, it really sounds like they're saying, oh, this was the only reason we won the war. And it's like, no, it's not. Another thing that's kind of a myth about this is like, 1911s jam a lot. And you'll hear this from Glock guys specifically. I have a real life experience with both, and I'm gonna grab the Glock real quick, which in this game is not a Glock, but it's a Glock. It's a fucking Glock. I rarely use this thing in this game, and here's my opinion on the Glock. It is the Honda Civic of firearms. It's reliable. It's it's a gun. It'll do what a gun is designed to do. That's about it. They're reliable. They're highly customizable. They're just neat little pieces of firearm technology. I personally just don't like them. I don't like how they look. I don't like the fucking fanboys that just simp over this thing and think it's the fucking greatest thing since sliced bread. It's an okay gun. I will give it that. It is a gun. It is a gun. It is designed to do what a gun is designed to do. But it's nothing special. Like I said, it's the Honda Civic of firearms. Would you rather have the Honda Civic of firearms? The old 50s Corvette of firearms? Or would you rather have the Camaro of firearms? Like, what would you rather have? And I've had one real life example on the 1911 being better than the Glock. I went to a shooting competition. I wasn't shooting in this shooting competition. I was a junior range officer. I was with the organization. I was making sure that people were, not doing stupid. They were following the rules of the range, and if they needed help, I will offer whatever help I can get. In this shooting competition, it was about even with the people bringing in 1911s and the people bringing in Glocks. Out of everyone in this competition, they shot maybe 50 rounds. And out of those 50 rounds, all the 1911 guys had zero problems, zero issues with their guns. 3 of the Glock guys had multiple malfunctions, either with light strikes, stovepipes, which is the casing of the projectile getting stuck in the ejection port and the slide, just essentially getting fucking hammered in there. Stuff like that. There was one guy who had a bad magazine. Like, the magazine just wasn't feeding properly and would get stuff stuck. Or there was one time he had a double feed, which is like 2 rounds trying to go into the to the port at the same time, or into the chamber at the same time. Not something you want. But he changed out the magazines and it started working like great all of a sudden. Didn't have a problem for the rest of the goddamn show. But shit. I think that's enough from me to know, like, yeah, sure it does, pal. Sure, the 1911 jams a whole hell lot more than the Glock does. Whatever you say. And it also could be down to just random chance, or the people that had the Glocks didn't really take good care of their Glocks, which I've seen a lot from Glock guys. They don't really clean their guns, which is just stupid. Clean your guns. It's great, because one day you're going to need that gun, and if it fails on you, you're fucked. This is my motivational PSA to anyone out there. Clean your damn firearms. Please. Take care of it. It will take care of you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video and want a part 2, please like and comment. That would be awesome to have some engagement. I have like a whole nother 4 or 5 clips of this that I can upload, and I really like just talking about guns. It's like a little passion of mine. It would be really great if I could continue making this kind of content, because this is the stuff that makes me happy and it helps educate people. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.